Hey, hey, hey! How are you doing there, all you crazy cats and kittens? Back again as part of Bots at Home, the virtual convention experience. So, obviously, here today, mostly to try and help raise some money for Mary's Meals. Mary's Meals is a charity that has a very simple mission statement that no child should be deprived of education and food. So it's a spans across the globe, helping children all over the place to get access to these two vital things that will give them a brighter future. And I think it's something we could all get behind. There's a link below to the Just Giving page specific to this event, because basically, because TF Nation has not happened, normally Toy Foo run a table there where they sell all these magnificent second-hand transformers that they've sourced from all over the world, and some real rarities as well. It's worth going next time you're there. But obviously, it's not happening this year, so that money is not going to be raised for this charity. So we want to go some way, a little way, at least to try and give some money to that charity. So there's a link below, and even if it's just a couple of quid that you'd normally spend on a banged up second hand robot, it all is appreciated. Or at least just have a look at the website and just read up about the charity. At the very least, uh, it's worth doing. But another thing I'm going to miss about conventions is because although we all like these robots, and messing about them and posing them and making them look good on shelves, I'm also a big lore junkie, not just in the various different continuities and all the characters that are really fascinating and stuff like that, but I also like the history of Transformers as a brand, as a phenomenon, as well as just as what happens in story. So I picked up this a couple of months ago. This is Marvel Age issue 17. Now this is a bit weird because um, I'm not sure what comic book cover dates are like at the moment, but back in the 80s, the comic book the dates on comic books are very confusing. Um, it was basically that date, August, is not the date this came out. It wasn't August of '84. It was basically that's the date that were advised for newsstands to remove it. It was a date for this to be taken off the shelf if it hadn't sold. It'd come out, they'd print them, they'd arrive and want to be on shelves, but whenever they actually got printed. But that date there is the date for them to be taken off and returned, really, if they haven't sold. So this has got a date of August. Transformers issue 1, a date of September. Now we know this came out before the first issue of Transformers. The first really bit of media, Transformers media. We know that. Now we're not sure. So I think this probably came out in March, maybe even February of 1984. And as we can see quite proudly on the cover, Marvel Age, the Muppets come to Marvel. So that's our big feature. That's our big news story. Is the about the Muppets? Muppets Take Manhattan is basically the movie came out, and I think it was a comic book adaptation of that. So that's news. So we've got open it up. We've got some Namor the Submariner, some important messages. We've got the coming attractions, what's coming up in the latest various issues of the Hulk annual, Kitty and Wolverine, Alpha Flight, the Thor annual, The Temple of Doom limited series, Last of the Starfighter. Okay, this is like 80s gold here. We've got the editorial here as well, and then the Transformers. So this is possibly the first time the Transformers and various different characters and stuff, character names and stuff. First time they have appeared in print in context with Transformers. And we'll get into that a bit more because there's some things that have not quite changed. So it's just basically this is a story about the upcoming comic book, The Transformers. Basically to get people on board to read it. So this is the first time we've had something that's written towards the target demographic of the comic book to try and advertise it to them and make it something that they'd like to build on in the future. They've got some write-ups about how the Transformers came into being, how the story got created, and how excited everyone was to work on it. I mean, we've seen Bob Budiansky video interviews and stuff like that at TF Nation and various other conventions he goes to. This is absolutely rubbish. it was seen as a chore to you know, the Transformers series was something that a big file that got passed desk to desk because no one particularly wanted to work with it until Bob Budiansky got put on it and had to write all the character biographies in the space of was it a Thanksgiving weekend or something like that? And yeah. So we have here, what I like is, we'll talk about people who admire each other's work and stuff like that. It's like, yeah. But no. This is what I like. This is like the first, really, you know, the latest series from Marvel combines science fiction speculation with human drama, powerful and sizzling graphics, and an innovative and provocative storyline. Now, see, this is what's important here. You've got to imagine this is your opening gambit for the Transformers as a fictional universe. The latest series from Marvel combines science fiction speculation with human drama, powerful and sizzling graphics, and an innovative and provocative storyline. Easy for me to say. So literally, the second thing in there, human drama. Now, there's always been this pushback. Everyone's always said, I'd like to see a Transformers series without any humans. And it's like, it's the humans what's making it. It's the humans are the eyes in which we see this wonderful world. And it's right there, right at the very beginning. The opening gambit. Human drama. Anyway, that's my high horse. Not the only one for the day, but you know, that's my evidence, really. That's what I like about stuff like that, is you can really like crunch into like, yeah, it's one of the first things. Copyright 1984. Transformers registered trademark. Now, quite often you'd see with names and stuff like that that are copyrighted. Not yet. I don't even know if these names have been copyrighted at this point. We'll just have a look. I'll just have a look. So yeah, they probably have been, because it depends on the publication. Some publications just have, every time there's a famous name written down, they have to write copyright in TM, but not here. So okay, we're fine with that. So all this really is, these columns are about basically how the publication happened, and then we get into the Transformers are not ordinary robots. They are sophisticated, shape-changing, fully sentient mechanical beings. From day one, from day one, the entire premise of robots in disguise is pretty much a lie because they're not really robots. People talk about them being robots, so they shouldn't have emotions or they shouldn't have relationships with each other. Day one, they're not ordinary robots. They are sophisticated, shape changing, fully sentient mechanical beings. Day one. Evidence. Case in point, day one. This is what the intention of the Transformers line has always had within it. Human drama, not ordinary robots, sentient, sophisticated, not just sentient, fully sentient beings. Fully sentient beings, human drama. So yeah, that's what I like also is that I'm going to go things that also don't prove points here is basically the Autobots, essentially noble characters, can transform themselves into useful transportation vehicles. They range in size. Optimus Prime, the strongest and wisest of the group, can become a tractor trailer, split into 3 parts. Bumblebee, the spy, can become a Volkswagen Beetle. So we always talk about, it's always Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. It's always Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. Optimus Prime, Bumblebee. Day one, first mentioning, first 2 names we get are Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. Like this, it's a day one premise of the beings. But then he goes on to say, the warriors, Sideswipe, Blowout, and Spinout can transform into exotic sports cars. I mean, that's probably as much page time as Sideswipe gets in the entire Marvel comic book run. Well, this article has probably as much page time as he actually gets as a character. But you know, he's the third one there, third named. So, and then we've got Blowout and Spinout, who see even when this article was written, the names were not yet set in stone. That's what I like about just a lovely bit of history, a lovely bit of Transformers history. So we're going on about Ratchet and Huffer and Hound, respectively Autobots medic, construction engineer and scouts can become an ambulance, a cab over truck, and a jeep. The Autobots' peaceful transportation abilities belie their stunning combat prowess. And then we just go on about Optimus Prime's combat deck and with bristles with artillery and radiation weapons. Nice one. Blowout can fire projectiles filled with a special compound called glass gas. So Blowout, cliff jumper. He's going about Sideswipe possesses pile driver arms and a rocket pack that everyone borrows. Never gets to use himself. Supersonically fly him about wherever is needed. Spinout is equipped with an ultra-accurate missile launcher and an electronic pulse gun that can burn through a thickness of titanium steel in 2 seconds. So Spinout is Sunstreaker. But yeah, so obviously we didn't have those names here. Cunning, sinister, and warlike. The Decepticons assume disguises of destruction to serve what they feel is their destiny to rule. Megatron is known as the Slag Maker, a nickname he relishes. His deadly fusion cannon can annihilate a major city. Starscream, the second in command, can become a deadly fighter plane with incredible speed, range, and weaponry. Ravage. So we're going like Megatron, Starscream. Next up, we need to talk about Ravage. The Saboteur can become a mechanical counterpart of a Jaguar to enhance his terrifying methods of murder. Terrifying methods of murder. Don't you like that? Ravage can become invisible under subdued lighting conditions. Rumble, who possesses the power of the earthquake, can transform himself into a red stereo cassette. That's jokes. Can turn himself into a stereo cassette. But, for deadly espionage work. It's a deadly tape. Laserbeak, who can transform himself into a condor, is a sadistic interrogation expert who takes particular delight in using his lasers to extract information. So it's interesting. We go through like free of Soundwave's tapes. We don't actually mention the Soundwave. The saga of the Transformers begins billions of years ago on planet Cybertron, located in a distant solar system. The home of the Transformers is a completely mechanized world where mountains are skyscrapers and rivers are highways. Civil war between the Decepticons and Autobots raged for centuries. One of the many battles between the Autobots and Decepticons reached Earth. Optimus Prime was leading a contingent of Autobots on a secret mission when the Decepticons found him out and attacked. Megatron and his men infiltrated Auntie, the Autobots' intelligence spaceship. So Auntie was the name of the Arx robot in the comic book, but here it's just and it was Teletron 1 in the cartoons. But Auntie here is just the name of the ship. Intelligence spaceship. The battle turning the Decepticons' favour, Optimus sent Auntie on a collision course with Earth. The impact was devastating. Auntie buried herself deep in the young planet's crust. It was in the crust there. The Autobots and Decepticons were knocked into dormancy. Eons passed. In the early 1980s, Mount St. Hilary erupted. Far below, the titanic shockwaves reactivated the ravaged circuits of the Autobots' vessels. Auntie's sensors assessed the situation and discovered a wide range of indigenous life form in the surrounding environment. Because of Auntie's circuits were irreparably damaged, the ship provided unable to distinguish between Autobots and Decepticons, and the ship, then capable of altering the Transformers' shapes, adapted both the Autobots and the Decepticons to life on Earth. Auntie matched the personalities with each Transformer to a particular inhabitant of Earth. So did the basic weapon identities of the Decepticons. And vehicle guises of the Autobots come about. Right, so it's matched to the personalities. It's like, you know what? You've got the personality of a truck. Mate, I'm seeing plain. You're a bit of a tape deck. Right. The Autobots and Decepticons were reactivated and the Civil War began anew. The Transformers series shows the Autobots valiantly defending Earth against Megatron's forces, who view Earth as a planet rich with resources to build new Decepticons. Decepticons' ultimate goal is destruction of all life forms in the galaxy. It is the very definition of life form that creates conflict and confusion for the Transformers. For them, recognizable life forms are only the mechanical beings. Cars, boats, appliances, and so on. Flesh and blood creatures. Plants and bodies of water are completely beyond their comprehension. When the Autobots finally discover who Earth's intelligent life forms are and how frail and helpless they seem to be, they resolve to protect this fragile world from Decepticon annihilation. So yes, a good read. It's a good read. The first issue of the bi-monthly Transformers is scheduled for release in April. Don't miss it. The very survival of a civilization hangs in the balance. Transformers, man. Day one. It's just so many. I like seeing how many concepts just continue to appear no matter how many times the franchise has changed, there's still that kind of core kind of beliefs that they carry on. But yeah, Marvel Age interview here. We've got some crazy talk about various silly costumes Marvel heroes have had through the time. When Iron Man had a nose and stuff like that. Then the Muppets get a double page. Do they just get? No, they get 3 pages. The Muppets get 3 pages just like the Transformers. And then we get a Secret Wars update. So this is kind of the stuff that's going on while Transformers is getting released. Then we have some new talent departments. So just some art critiques. There's different looks, Doctor Strange and stuff like that. So, you know. Then letters. You know, it's Marvel Age. It's just like a Marvel news. It's like buy this to get adverts for other comic books that are coming out, or just keep abreast of the comic book news. So yeah, I kind of like the idea. It's only 35 cents. I don't know who that means in today's money. It's kind of a shame that obviously Muppets was a big property. Getting into Marvel Comics was a coup. So obviously they get the front page. It's just a shame that maybe with Transformers didn't have a front cover here. That would have been cool. Yeah. So like I say, just a lovely bit of history that can show us some concepts that have always been part of Transformers that people kind of, well, why do they do this? Why do they do that? And it's like, it's because that's who they are. And that's kind of what they're intending to be. But yeah, this is pretty much the first bit of Transformers fiction, or at least the first full write-up of the fictional world of the Transformers that was put into print. And I just like that bit. I just like that bit of history. That's kind of that's what as a fan of Transformers, that's kind of what drives me, stuff like that, as well as how cool the figures are and stuff like that. So I hope you've enjoyed sharing me Marvel Age issue 17 with me. And remember, links in the description below to various meals and the other channels that are participating in Bots at Home. Also, if you're on Facebook, search for Bots at Home. There's a page there where there'll be various different links to all these YouTube videos that are going on. Might be even some watch parties and all that. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and remember, be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes, and cause we can't be there with each other, let's do a socially distancing fist bump, shall we? Fisto! Fisto!